Hey everyone, I'm Leona Nicole Black. This is Temple of Venus, and I am back with another pick a card reading. So I'm going to talk you through the topic for today. Last week in Temple, we were looking at feelings of being stuck, blocked, and frustrated. And I did a pick a card reading for the collective, and I also did lots of personal readings for people. Thank you so much for those of you who supported my work, who came forward for spiritual guidance, and also for the loving messages of gratitude and thanksgiving that you sent me. It was really important in that moment to share things with you that could help you deal with the practical issues of life and feel like you have the means and some tools to make some real world, immediate life changes to kind of relieve the pressure on you. And that I'm really glad it's something that I was able to support you with. This week, we're going a little bit deeper. So we're actually going to stay around the same theme, but we're talking about long-term wounds this week. Long-term wounds, things that have just not been healing over, I'm talking years and decades, things that you feel like you've been struggling with, been very, very stuck in relationship to, and just have not been able to move through. And then maybe ways that you've been navigating or trying to cope with that, whether that is like numbing, shutting down, avoiding, choosing to just focus your life in one direction because you feel like another part of it is just full of pain or blockages. And so that's what we're going to be getting into this particular week. And we do have a specific theme or way of navigating this. So there are two groups, and I'm showing you the cards as kind of symbols for you to feel your way through and decide which group you want to listen to. And of course, you're welcome to listen to both and just see which narratives and which stories, which advice relates to your personal experiences. We have the Siren card and we have the Shadow card. And very generally, I'm separating this out as a siren card coming through with heavy water energy, or watery ecosystem, let's say. And then the shadow card, we're talking about a drier ecosystem. So we might even want to call this kind of like Moon, Venus on this side, and more kind of Saturn and Mars on the right hand side. Just so you can think about the kind of energies that we're dealing with when we're talking about like Mars as like hot, and we're talking about Saturn's very cold, very dry, and then Venus as bringing kind of sweetness, and the moon bringing a lot of water energy here. So again, these two ecosystems and these symbols that I'm using here are speaking to the different ways that you're experiencing or navigating blocks in your life, or these long-term wounds that you've not been able to overcome, long-term challenges that you're just stuck in. This is more related on this side, I would say, to kind of feelings of like grief, sorrow, emotionally overwhelmed, very emotionally triggered. And this one on this right hand side, we're talking more the feelings of like endurance, desolation, struggle, lack, feeling like there's not enough, a lack of energy, lack of pleasure, lack of relationships. So just generally thinking of like more desert landscape with the shadow energy here. So take a moment, really have a think, tune into your body, listen to your first instinct over which side, which card, which we resonate with. This will be group one, Siren, and this will be group two, Shadow. So I want to bring in these two cards also from the Book of Boards deck, because it relates to the approach, the theoretical approach I'm going to take to today's pick a card. We have the best card here, and we have Imhotep on the right. And this is really a dwelling approach here. So we're looking, a lot of my work at the moment is body focused. I'm really doing a lot of body work, and I'm kind of seeing myself at the moment as like a spiritual geologist. If we're thinking about the body, and I want you to think about the body as land, and I want you to think about these ecosystems that I talked about as the landscape, the kind of like geographical, geological picture of your body. Is it kind of flooded with water? Is it like moss? Is the soil damp? And then we know that gives rise to kind of like fungus and mold, etc. Or is it, like I said, more desert? Is your body is your body a dry space? Is it restricted? Is it brittle? And so again, my role as a spiritualist, and the role I'm going to take in today's reading, is to be looking at the landscape of the body and looking at your relationship from a Venusian perspective to pleasure. This best card has a lot to do with pleasure. And we have either on this kind of right side, like I said, this kind of lack, deprivation of pleasure. And then we can have almost like hedonism or overgrowth or ways that pleasure practices are causing sickness on the left hand side. So we're going to look in both of those directions to see in which ecosystem, which landscape of the body is causing or is a not necessarily maybe even a cause, what is the consequence? What does it tell us about the root issues and the very, very deep spiritual issues that are causing you to have long-term wounds? And then the Imhotep card here then becomes the medicine, the healing, the advice, what we construct, what we build, what we create once we understand, right? Once we do the diagnosis, once as the geologist, we look at the landscape, we look at what's going on in the earth of your body and say, okay, how do we bring balance? So the other thing that I want to talk about in relation to this and this kind of pleasure energy here is actually sugar, because I've been really thinking and reflecting on sugar, on sugar cane, on our relationships, industries around sugar plantations, and the way that people often say, and it's very true, that sugar is one of the hardest and most addictive substances. Like it's one of the hardest things for us to quit. And I was really thinking about why we even have the mindset that sugar is something we should quit. Like, why is that? Like, isn't that something I've been questioning whether that should even be a goal? And obviously, we think about sugar as the source of health problems. Sugar can be like give you dental issues, other gut problems, cancer might grow or feed on sugars in the body, for example. And so we may associate high amounts of sugar or excess sugar with high levels of sickness. But I've also been thinking about sugar as literally an energy source for the body. And we know that as, we can use glucose or fructose, for example, as one of the sources that the body uses. And then we can think about carbohydrates as stored sugars in the body, and fats as another way of storing up the energy sources long term. But ultimately, I want you to think about sugar as a necessary source. Like that is, you can't function as a human being in the same way that we talk about the body having a lot of water. You can't function as a human being without sugar. So what does it mean? Why even are we having conversations about quitting or starving ourselves? Shadow energy or the shadow aspect here of sugar. Typically, again, we're thinking about ill health when we're trying to cut back, or we're thinking about the fats that are created, the shapes that are created from sugar, and how that can become an aberration or lead to rejection because it breaks the rules of beauty in our society, in our contemporary society. So you may, for example, when you're dieting or working out, cut back on sugar because you're trying to craft certain kind of shape. And again, when we talk about this energy here, the shadow energy, we're talking about Saturn, we're talking about restriction and denial. And I want you, and part of what I'm doing in today's session is helping to give you a broader perspective on what it means for you to deny yourself sugar very generally, but I want to use sugar also as a metaphor for pleasure in general. And if I say that sugar is an essential source for your body, then I'm also saying that pleasure is an essential source for your spirit. And so my work today with you is to look at your relationship to sugar/pleasure and the ecosystems that are developing out of it. Okay, so hopefully you've now decided. I'm laughing because this kind of looks phallic to me, and then it also looks like breasts. I told you we're doing body work. So hopefully you've decided on your topics, on your which cards, which ones you resonate with, group one, group two, and now we're going to get into it. Okay, so group one, I'm going to start with the usual pick the siren card. So it's looking at the watery ecosystem. I'm just going to start with an evaluation of the bodily landscape of the collective by tuning into this reading. The Tower card. This is giving me the energy of leakages actually, and also moss, like I was talking about before, but we'll get to that. With the Two of Wands, this feels like an opening, a leakage. Okay. Which is interesting because I was considering maybe more flooded landscapes, but we'll see what comes up. Interesting. Okay, so let's start. Let's get straight into it. What I feel immediately coming through the King of Swords and the Knight of Cups in reverse is that this immediately tells me there is a lack of presence, understanding, even control, influence over the relationship to sugar or pleasure in your life. So this is absent-mindedness, I would say. This can also be acting on sheer impulse, desire, like doing things without thinking, in relation to pleasure, in relation to getting to feeling good in life in general. So again, with this group, you may be someone who is smoking a lot. And I was going to say numbing, but that doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel like you're smoking to numb. This group, you're smoking to access pleasure. And when I say smoking, that can be any substance. But I do see the action, and I think that's why we also have King of Swords, the air energy here. I see the action of you engaging in smoke to seek out um expansiveness to get out of the body. I also feel here, right? So again, this comes back to this concept of ignoring the ecosystem, ignoring what sugar is doing, what pleasure is doing to the body, purely because you are seeking to exit the body or exit the circumstances, remove yourself from the stimulus of what is going on in the body here. um so yeah, a lot of pleasure seeking, a lot of trying to expand out of their feelings. What else is going on in this group? I also feel like this is the same with food. I think for those of you in this group, you may, and I'm not saying that you're overeating either. What I'm saying is that food may be one of the primary sources of pleasure in your life. So you might not have the easiest access to other more deeply fulfilling desires, or yeah, you may feel distant from goals and dreams or from things that you think will be like more long-term fulfilling for you. And you may be a person that eats for pleasure, which I don't judge. I'm a person who definitely eats for pleasure. Um, and so you know, it's interesting because I'm looking at this King of Swords card and I'm thinking about more Scandinavian or Nordic cultures where the relationship to food can be less about pleasure, more about function and survival. But that's not the case for this group. This group, you enjoy the fruits of the land. You like the taste and the flavors of things. And that ultimately, I would say, coming back to this best card here, this is a good relationship to land. This is a good relationship to the body, or this is the foundation of it is. The issue is the lack of awareness, the lack of conscious thought. So with this group, I feel like you may be that there may be a relationship of indulgence or self-soothing through the stimulus of taste and flavor and food. And also, like I said, stuffing yourself is what I feel because you don't have other access to pleasure. Food, sweet drinks, desserts. And so I actually really like this because I'm talking again about pleasures, sugar, relationship to body, land, ecosystem, right? And we'll get to the wound stuff. But again, if we think about if we've been cultured to think about sugar as a source of poor health, then part of this is, like I said, is the mismanagement or poor relationship to the consumption here because it is an emotional consumption or an escapist consumption. If we come over to these cards here, like I said, the Tower card and the Two of Wands, when I started this reading, I was imagining a more flooded or more swamp-like environment in which you are having lots of emotional gunk almost, or still unprocessed emotions, feeling flooded by emotions, feeling like stuck in the mud or wading through waters emotionally. That's actually not what I see. That was my expectation. What I'm seeing with the Tower card and Two of Wands is actually leakage. And with the tower card, like I said, with the grass on this I used to see this as a tree, interestingly, but the more I'm looking at it, I noticed that it never was. It's like a mound where the spirit was living. But yeah, on this card here, the grass growing over this mound does speak to the symptoms of consumption, indulgence, nursing is also a word I would use. The body and the emotions, the feeling state, even the spirit, the soul, the consciousness, with sugar. So what do I mean by that? Let's start with the leakage energy. What I get is you are losing resources. Let's see how and why. It doesn't feel like the step. Oh, you're losing resources. What are you losing? What is the way this is showing up for you? The cloud card and the connect card. Okay. Let me move this up a bit. So what I feel like with these two cards here, it's interesting because I feel like the leakage or the loss is an escape. It's like you're I'm getting like escape artist. Yeah. Okay. The energy I get is escape artist. So it's really interesting. The more I follow the thread of the reading, is that it's just not what I'm expecting, but it's just fine. The diagnosis is interesting. This is why it's important to actually do the diagnosis. But here we go. The Tower and the Two of Wands. So the escapism, the escape artist, using pleasure, using sugar as a way out of the body. This is what's going on with this group. And that is what the leakage is. It's really interesting because it's creating the whole. We've got the cloud meditation and we've got the connect card here. And again, this is using substances to expand, to get out of the body with the cloud meditation, to go up, to get out of yourself in some way. The nature card here with the Tuesday, this is the pursuit. And this is using the substances here in the pursuit of escape. With the four, with the balance card here, which I tend to think of the energy of four, that's why I said that, but it's called balance. In reverse, this is the disconnection from the body. What I want to understand, not this, what I want to understand more clearly is how is the body disconnect leading to a leak? I don't think I understand. So again, I want to understand the pipes in the body. Please show me, spirit. How is that disconnect developing a leakage? So little cards, but I'm gonna take them all because I'm feeling them. Okay. I'm using this mixed emotions deck. The table's gonna be a bit busy for a second. Okay, so we have stressed and panicky. That makes sense to me. We have platonic love and irritated. What are these? What are these? We have receptive and we have disgusted and it was fulfilled in reverse. Okay. Okay. So with the energy of leakage or my concept of following the pipes in the body, what I'm hearing, the phrase I'm hearing or the word I'm hearing is unoccupied. And coming here, disgusted, fulfilled. This is the moss that I'm talking about, the disgust here and the flies coming on out of this bin, out of the lack of fulfillment. What's going on is the approach to escaping oneself through, and this could be sex too, like whatever you're doing in order to fill yourself with pleasure to escape whatever stimulus or the stress and panic energy here, it is leading to the overgrowth here because you're not addressing the root issue of the lack of fulfillment. It's not being seen. And so you're covering it. Let's say that the issue is right at the bottom of this bin and you are pouring pleasure and pouring sugar and covering this bin, and now it stinks. It's literally it. And so this is the action you're taking with the receptive card. And I love the flowers here because again, pleasure, Venusian energy, we're talking about pleasure seeking, that you are always going for. And I love it that I talked about this kind of watery ecosystem and we see the rain here. You're going for you're drawing in or calling for water energy. You're trying to feed yourself pleasure. And it is in response to these are the two core stimulus, I would say, these two groups of cards. We have stressed and panicky. So there are things that are frightening you or that you're anxious about, or survival issues and pressures in life, or responsibilities and duties that you're like, oh, I need to escape from. And then we have also, this feels like blandness, I'm going to be honest, like platonic love and irritated. What I'm feeling here actually is that this is the irritation. This feels like a signal of a desire. And then with the baby in this card, so I actually want to ignore the love energy here, but the baby in this card, it feels like a core or root need. Like this is a, this is, yeah, like a core or root need, something deeply held, deeply felt that is niggling at you. This is a niggling sense of that there is something missing or something needed. And then to risk to ignore this or to overcome this constant niggling feeling, again, the pleasure seeking and the receptive card. Okay. You know what's interesting about this and why I pulled this new set of cards, because I understand the overgrowth or the sickness, the illness that is developing from that relationship to pleasure seeking. But what I was really stuck on is the concept leakage. And I personally would, if it were just me, I would just change the word. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, no, I can feel that leakage is the right. There's something about the concept or the framework of leakage that I should be working with. But I was like, something isn't feeling right to me, or it's not landing. So I pulled these cards to understand it. And then at the bottom of the deck, from the cards that we pulled earlier, we have the Sun card. And it really made sense to me because what you are leaking is power. And therefore, one of the core issues that came up and the reason that we started this series is overall feelings of powerlessness. That feeling stuck and frustrated and blocked, and even having long-term wounds that you feel like you can't recover from, injuries, from relationships, and from life circumstances, and from, your social conditions, etc. This is all your relationship to all of it is in the form of powerlessness. That's the whole reason that Imhotep here, but healer energy is here, is to empower you through healing recipes and through context, information, advice to put you in a position of power. So the leakage for this group, and really again coming back to body and land, the primary issue, the reason that you are feeling powerless in your life is you keep escaping it. And it's really interesting because I said to a friend yesterday, I've not been smoking or using edibles or using any substances. And I have been feeling like I've been wading through some very heavy, deep waters. And it's been hard. And I've said to her, like, despite feeling the difficulties of my life right now, I can sense that it's really important for me to have a clear mind and be very sober. And that I understand that I need to process through, I need to move, I have to move through the feelings. Now, the feelings I'm having are the river to the next place for me. And I have had some confusion this past few days, especially of why am I feeling like this? Like, why does it feel so difficult? And I'll do my own diagnosis and I'll look at all the normal things like I'm under spiritual attack, are they like, et cetera, et cetera. Like what's causing this kind of feeling in my body and why are things feeling so hard for me? But what I am mirroring and really understanding as I see in this particular reading is that I am doing the thing that is necessary, which is maintaining presence. Maintaining presence. Yesterday, for example, like I really cried because I wanted to work. I know that sounds silly. But in response to, again, the stress and the panic energy, in response to stress and anxiety, I wanted to work, I wanted to create. And I could feel that I didn't have the energy reserves in my body, and my spirit team were like, no. And I cried over the frustration of that. But I understood that it was also important for me to grieve like my normal action. And personally, I have we've all been going through the transit of South Node conjunct Mars, and I also have the South Node conjunct my natal Mars. So there's been a lot of drainage of my energy levels, but also with all the other trans, especially Mercury retrograde, etc. A moment to be reflecting on the way my energy systems are actually even working, where I draw power, some card from, where I get my energy resources from in order to express Nine of Cups, right? And the Death card being, I don't have it. Like I have not had the energy, despite my feelings that I need to respond to my life and create things. I've been like, I didn't have it to give. So I cried yesterday. And after I cried, I was like, okay, well, I have to feel the truth. And the truth that I felt was actually the energy reserves out there. So I played. I sought some pleasure and I went to sleep and I woke up today able to create. And I know that's the rhythm. But when you feel the pressure of I need to do things, again, time tyranny is something I've really been working through. And unraveling, when you feel the pressure of time and you feel the pressure of I've got to get this done right now, it is very hard to surrender to the truth of the body. So here on this side, we've got two cards. We've got the solitude card and we have the offering card here. And you see, one is a skeleton and one person you can't see their face. What we get from both of these cards, and I'll bring them a little bit closer for you, what we get from both of these cards is the ghostly energy, the absentee, the not being there. And then we have the truth card. This is one of the cards I used to clarify so I could understand the energy more clearly, right? So this is like it's almost a peaceful giving up. Again, it's the exit from the body. So this is the leakage. This is the powerlessness, the actual leakage in your life, and that's causing not causing, I won't say it's causing actually, but it is maintaining. It's part of the stuckness of the long-term wounds for you is your absence from your own body, is your unwillingness to be present in it. And on the contrast, we have the essence card here and we have the tradition card. And look how different these two cards look. Deep, 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 deep presence in the body. And I love actually, especially that we have a fat person on this card because when I watched the film Sinners, I'm forgetting her name, but the character, the woman, the actress that plays Annie, is it Wumi? I think her name's Wumi. I don't know her surname, I can't remember it, but she was in that film, the thing that I felt from her so strongly was presence and really present in her body in a way that was so beautiful and alluring and connected. Like I could feel it. And I do wonder actually whether just as a woman in her daily day-to-day life, that is something she has mastered because that woman was down in her feet, like feet on the soil, down deep in her body, connecting, expressing, acting through that body. And I think I noticed that also because I understand that again, like we talked about with the relationship, society, culture, beauty standards, and sugar, that she does not have a socially, culturally, on a wide scale, in a white supremacist society validated body. I do think actually in other parts of the world and other beauty structures and systems, she's gorgeous and accepted as such. But I mean, I'm located physically in Nairobi right now, so I'm in Africa, but I have been cultured and raised in Europe. So again, inside my ecosystem of my body are the seeds of those Western beauty standards. So I can recognize, and then the film is marketed and projected and created in that kind of space as like the kind of like Europe and Northern America, let's say. So as those kind of cultures I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm going on a tangent. I say all of that to say presence in body. And this essence card is like the essence, the spirit, the power, what it means for you to be down deep in your own body, what it has meant for me to not escape and to feel all the things that are uncomfortable and unpleasant to feel. But what we have here is the tradition card, and I love it because you have like all these souls and spirits and these kind of white figures, and you have this shape, this orb shape in my hand. And I love this. To me, this card is very Taurus, but it felt, and I love that because Taurus for me is material body too, but fixed earth as a zodiac sign. What we get here is power. And there's power born out of a long tradition. And it is power born out of not just the present, but of multiple moments, of multiple aspects of your consciousness. Like you don't have to jump out of your body to access these many, many, many selves that you have, whether there are multiple aspects of the self in this current incarnation in your current human life, or whether there are multiple aspects of the self that have lived multiple lifetimes, multiple experiences, had multiple relationships and soulmates. You can access the wisdom of all of that without leaping out of your body. And this wisdom and this presence is what leads to power. And in the form of the Knight of Wands, the rock star, we're talking especially about creative power here. We have artistry again. There's a Temple of Venus, so I'm always working with Venusian deities and Venusian and Mercurial, I'd say. And ultimately, as a priestess of this temple, I work with all kinds of spirits. But my specialism, I would say, lands between, and my closest relationships is with those kinds of deities. And this rock star energy is the Venus energy, it is the creative energy here, is the arts, it's the expression. So this is the way out of the long-term wound. I wonder, I don't know, I'm gonna have to ask. I'm wondering if spirits will let me see. And I understand it's a collective reading, sorry. So a part of me is like, I want to ask what some of those long-term wounds and those like things that you've not been able to recover from are. And we're saying I'm allowed to use a few examples, but again, because it's a collective reading, there will be more than one. And if it were personal individual reading, I could say, bam, I'm looking at your energy body is this. But again, in a collective space, it is more than just one thing. But I'm going to see if we can get some examples of what this exit from the body and the niggling feelings, what it is that you are in the art of escaping from. or how it's showing up? What are the fissures? Yeah, I'm trying not to make the camera go so blurry. Okay, we're gonna have three examples. Yeah, I feel that. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, well, well, well. Thank you, Spirit. So continuing the diagnosis, looks like geological scan of the physical body here, the ecosystem of your body. We had three examples of the primary kinds of pain, long-term wounds, things that you are just stuck in. And like I said, I'm talking about years, decades, like stuff that's just been ailing you. Okay, so we have the Five of Cups, the Ten of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Fool card in reverse, the Temperance card, and the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. So starting here, this group, for those of you, these wounds, these are deep emotional wounds. And these are, I would always say, often, very often when I see this kind of energy coming up, this can be the wounds to the solar plexus because these are deep wounds to self-esteem, deep wounds to the sense of self. And that's really interesting. I've never noticed the detail of this on the card before. But can you see how this kind of yellow energy that's coming from her chest area here is going down into this swirl? That's what it feels like to me. Also, yellow being solar plexus energy associated with the solar plexus, like a loss of pride, a loss of esteem, a loss of energy, a loss of courage. This feels like deep knocks and blows, like punch to the gut energy. Very often when this comes up, I'm talking this is like rejection. And this doesn't have to just be romantic relationship rejection. Very often, I know from me, for example, that this has been related to parental wounds. With this particular like whirlpool energy down the bottom, I also feel like this is not this incarnation only. So you may be coming into this life with other lifetimes, more expansive long-term experiences, a hole in the soul is what I'm getting. So it feels like, again, we're talking trauma here. And the reason, and I love how Gabor Mate talks about it, because you can have difficult experiences that don't traumatize you, because you have the systems and the support necessary to the care in the immediate term, right after the impact of the difficult thing that allows you to repair. And the trauma is the inability to recover after a difficult thing. It's like something has incapacitated you. And that's the energy I get here, where it's like there are things that have happened to you that have actually incapacitated you in some way. And we get the hole in the soul. So it is a blow to the soul, a punch, a wound, some pain that happens, some heartbreak. But again, I feel a lot of this energy much lower down in the stomach and in the sacral. So in the stomach and also in the reproductive area. For many of you, something has happened and it has left a hole that has not closed. The Ten of Swords here is speaking more to the overall landscape of heartbreak and disappointment. And actually, this is very dry. It's a contrast. This is water energy. This is air. And it feels like there is a combination because there is, again, you can't always live at this frequency down here in the Five of Cups where the soul is deeply wounded. And it is like a watery abyss, I would say, down here, or a watery black hole. So you end up, in order to show up, in order to function, in order to just like be able to live and just do your life in an ordinary way, you live slightly higher up in the body. So like I said, you've got when the stomach and the reproductive energy, you've got these like deep watery abyss holes. And then if you move upwards, we're talking about chest, throat, mind area, we get this extreme dryness. And I deeply relate to this, unfortunately. Even as someone who is like, part of the reason I'm doing this series is because I've gone through some healing initiations quite recently where I plugged some of these holes. And like one of my biggest like soul holes has been sealed and closed up. And it's something that I have been, living with that I would say two. One is for a lifetime at least, and the other has been a decade or so. And that's been sealed up. And I would say actually for me, they were the same hole. Like they just got like there would like a, if there was like a crater, it was like something else hit the same space and made the impacts bigger. But that is something that has been sealed over for me. But the impacts and the reason why, like for example, yesterday I was crying is because in the energy of Ten of Swords, there is a dryness here. And the dryness that I'm feeling is the sealing up of the watery abyss, but there's a lack of nurturance. Again, like I said, in the immediate term, we're talking about trauma. So in the immediate term, the care wasn't there, the support wasn't there. And so the land, the body, the landscape of the body has been like dried out of what of the nutrients it has needed to cope. But at the Ten of Swords level, this is where we live, okay? And the Swords energy, we're talking about air energy, communication, mind. This is ideas, thoughts. This is where we are coming up with solutions to our journey forward. We're getting things done, so to speak. And this is a very hard space to live from. And this feels dry, and you can burn out very quickly here. You can run out of resources because you're actually drawing from like straw and hay in the first place. There's not much in the land. And then the pleasure seeking, best energy, becomes the small droplets of water. It becomes the things that we feed the body with to create some growth, to create some grass, even. And then immediately, okay, so the receptive energy here would be the pleasure seeking. And immediately, as we get some water into this dry landscape, we have to create, we have to do things, we have to use it, and we dry up again. And this becomes, again, even if, like, for me, you've moved out of the deeply wounded state, you're still dealing with a under-resourced state. And in Temple, sorry, not in Temple Venus, in Horizon Temple, which I run by my Patreon, where we meet live. And this is a space where we do spiritual teaching, but it's also a space where everyone gets to ask questions, and it can be personal questions about your own life. In August, we're going to be looking at the theme of resources and dealing with this, which makes sense because a lot of what I do in the temple is a reflection of my own healing journey and my own craft and work and medicine and studying the spirit. So because I'm in this state of studying my resources and looking at, again, if we take that ecological, geological approach, what kind of gems are in the land? What resources, what irons, what metals? What is in the soil that's available to me? Resources, that's what I'm focused on right now. Okay. So then from there, we have the Page of Wands and the Thor card. And this is for people, one of the ways that this long-term way that is showing up is I can't get anywhere. A hamster wheel. This is what this energy feels like to me. It feels like running, this almost being the wheel, running on the spot, going, 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 going. And every day you're just not getting any further. Things may be changing, circumstances, changing jobs, changing relationships, changing houses, doesn't matter. You just keep feeling like the new beginning, the expansion, the ability to create something new is just not happening. So the wound becomes the Groundhog Day feeling. And again, this becomes powerlessness. This becomes feeling stuck. And then what do? You dissociate, you find ways out of the body to feel something else. Why? Because the spirit and the soul are expansive. So you can get out of your body and experience freedom and a movement and play. Again, thinking about the film Sinners and that scene when they're in the juke joint and they're playing that blues music and all the different ancestors past and the descendants, like all these multiple timelines, generations of people being connected in this highway of the energy, the spirit energy of music. And it's the same, like you exit your body and it's timeless. And that's the feeling you like. But deep down in here, in your day-to-day life, you're like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just not getting anywhere. And then moving on, I'm going to move these to the very last one. Disconnection. With the Seven of Pentacles, sorry, Seven of Pentacles, 10 Pentacles card in reverse, I'm going to show them to you upright just so you can take in the images and the ideas. This is two levels of disconnection here. So let's look at it like this. You have this levels of I don't know if I want to use the word spiritual disconnection, but let's say the energy. I want to talk about like the way things feel with the Temperance card, the interplay of connection between yourself and others here. feeling disconnected, not feeling seen, not feeling loved, not feeling understood, not having community. And then the Seven of Pentacles here is the feeling disconnected from the root. So this can be, I remember when I was in South Africa most recently and I was doing a lot of healing on my root, one of the issues that I had is that I couldn't feel my feet from the ankle down. Now, obviously, I can touch my foot with my hand, I could feel my physical body, but I just felt like a ghost. Like I felt like my nothing from the ankle down was touching anything. I was disconnected. And I spent a lot of time at the beach with my feet buried in the sand, giving myself energy healing, rooting myself back into the physical earth in order to help. And now I can feel my feet. And one of my really good friends helped to send me energy healing very regularly to heal the root systems of my feet. But what's going on for this group and a core long-term wound for you is feeling really disconnected from life. I don't belong here. I don't have any roots here. I don't, my needs aren't met. Okay. So this can also just be generally root chakra issues, but this can be lack of safety, lack of stability, lack of connection, like again, a connected community, connected friendships. Like I just feel ghostly, haunted, or I'm not present, lack of presence. And I'm sure there are other ways to describe this energy, but if you're in this group, I know that you'll recognize it and be like, yep, I know exactly how this is showing up for me. Mhm. So now that we understand in the form of the Ten of Swords card, like now that we understand what the landscape of the body is, what the picture of the wounds look like, what has been causing you to feel long-term wounded and stuck, we come to the part Seven of Pentacles that relates to the work. And I absolutely love this particular depiction because it's like work on the land, like she's on the farm, you know, and then seeing that farm, seeing that land as the body. So now that we are here, it's like, okay, the work, the imitate, the healing, the work with me as a spiritualist, with what you have access to, the spiritual work, the medicines and the remedies are about what do we do with this landscape? What do we do to seal these wounds up? Because with the Two of Swords, you have been living your life without knowing. Like you have not had the information and knowledge, the procedure or the plan. And so these two cards are our touchstones. So what the answers to that would be. Then we have the lovers at the bottom of the deck here. Love this, and put this one here. We have the lovers at the bottom of the deck, and this particular energy is talking about the spiritual support. This is a collaboration. This is coming together. You don't have to navigate this all on your own. This is being able to be supported to break through, break free, and to heal. And it looks like this. We have firstly on the so these two cards are like this. The Sun card is talking about illumination, but there are things you need to understand. Page of Wands and Seven of Wands. You need to really have what I'm seeing is like a scanner. I play a lot of games. I'm a gamer, and what was I playing most recently? I was playing Death Stranding, where you have the technology where you can like press like your scanner on your wrist and it shows you the landscape. And you get that in a lot of games. I'm playing a game called Far Days Gone, sorry, at the moment, and you have something called like a survival view. So when I press that button, I can generally for a few seconds see what's in my immediate environment. I can see the plants that are there, I can see animals that are there, I can see people that are around, I can see the lay of the landscape, I can see if there's any threats. And I get the same energy with the illumination card, the sun card there, where what you need on an individual basis, obviously this is a collective reading, on an individual basis, what you need is a lay of the land. You need a scan of your landscape so you can see what in relationship to pleasure, sugar, and energy. I want you to think about those three things as interchangeable. Energy you have available to you in your body, spiritually, emotionally, physically, daily, pleasure, sugar, these three things. What in relationship to those, what do you need to understand about the conflicts, the breakdowns, the blockages, seven of wands, the things that are not working in how you relate to those things, right? So how you seek pleasure, how you gain energy, how you're using your energy in your body that is creating the devil energy in terms of an obstacle or a long-term block. So like I said last week when we did this reading, we did this at a more surface level because we're trying to see, well, what are the immediate actions you can take to create some relief in your life right now? You know, what can you do that's going to make you feel better tomorrow and next week so that you have some capacity, some relief from your immediate circumstances, enough to deal with the deeper issues that are they're the root of the same things that we talked about. And I'm saying that because many of you came and you had those like mini readings with me last week, and I gave you your immediate, like, this is what's going on and this is what you need to do. But what you need is a scan. You need to see what's going on in the landscape, the ecological system of your body that says how your energy is moving and flowing, which directions, and how this relationship to pleasure is impacting you. And then with the Ace of Pentacles, which speaks to a physical, material, practical new beginning, we have the Fool card, the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so it's a new way of working in alignment, in accordance with understanding of your actual body, of your actual energy systems, of your relationship to pleasure and pleasure seeking, that allows the wheel of fortune to turn, to allow things to turn, to allow blessings to come into your life. So there are changes that have to be made in accordance with your body and your energy systems and your relationship to pleasure, how you use that, how you've used pleasure as a fuel or not. That's going to create changes. And that is what I think I will be doing personal readings on. Those of you who are in Ancestors group chat will have priority. And then those of you who are in Horizon Temple will have next priority, and then the public. So I say that because I, as you can see, even from the concept of this reading, have limited resources in terms of how many people I can support one-to-one. I imagine, to be honest, that I can't do more than 10 readings on this particular issue. And so, yeah, that's where I'm going to put out my availability to do one-to-one readings for people to get this information so you can get the support in the form of the Lover's card, the spiritual support you need to make these changes. Thank you so much, Group One. In general, for those of you not currently in Ancestors Group Chat or in Horizon Temple via Patreon, if you would like to work with me, you can go to my website, nicoleblack.com/shop, and I have loads of different services there, including free guides and workshops and energy healing and tarot readings and lots of things for you to get into and explore more of this with me. So you are welcome to go visit my website. I'm sending you so much love. Hey, Group Two. So if you chose the shadow card, then you are in the group where the ecosystem of your body just feels drier. And so let's get started. Sorry, let's put this okay. Let's get started. Let's have a look. See. Let's have a look. the landscape of the body. Interesting. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Move these across a little bit. Group two. One of the energies I'm getting immediately is that I don't mean to offend you, but you're easily manipulated. And that is not a judgment of you. This is about the condition of the body. That your life and the landscape of your body is in a condition that leaves you very susceptible to manipulation. I'm going to ask and talk about exactly what that manipulation looks like in the form of the magician card here, but we'll get into it. I just want to have some water 1 second. Okay. So group one, the body landscape and the kind of primary way your long-term ways are showing up is in the form of anguish, Nine of Swords. Feels like there's a heaviness that follows you. It feels like a heavy cloud is over your life. And very similarly to group one, similar but different, but it seems like everyone is involved in escaping the circumstances, like a relationship to pleasure, best card here, is about escaping this feeling, escaping the anguish in the body, getting out of the body because it feels like this, getting away from the oppression and the dark cloud feeling. In group one, I talked a lot about substances as the method. It doesn't feel like it's the same for group two. Oh, I can hear. How do you know what I heard? Holiness, and then I saw the Hierophant. How interesting. Which makes sense because I also said this was more of a Saturn Mars feeling or ecosystem. And so what that means is that we're talking about deprivation. Not deprivation. We're talking about restriction and denial. This can also be energies of discipline when we're talking about Saturn and Mars, who are the malefics and the zodiacs, not the zodiac and the planets. So what that means is like I will deny myself. I'm not the sort of person who will indulge. I'm more of the person who will restrict. I take a more priest-like or monk-like in the hierarchy. I'm using you guys as an example approach, or I'm not this will be abstinence over having a lot of sex, for example. Whereas group one might actually be having as much sex as possible to feel good. Group two is like, and it's really interesting because I think that some of you actually might be in both groups because you have different parts of your life where you pursue things differently. Some places where you're indulgent, some places where you're completely denying yourselves. So this feels like negation. That's what I would say. Where it's like, okay, I'm not going to have that sex, or yeah, there's a powering down. It feels like being put on low power mode. Energy conservation, like saving battery life, is the energy that I get from this particular group. I'm interested in a little bit more spirit. Let's see, what deck do I need in in the two different decks here? In what this judgment card of the release, in what it looks like, not this one yet, on what it looks like for you to release yourself. Because there is, like I said, the discipline, negation, holiness, spiritual energy. Yeah, look at that. Look at her face, turning away from something in the Queen of Swords. I'm gonna put this magician card up here and talk about manipulation in a while. It feels like the energy of acceptance in some ways. You know that phrase, God give me the wisdom to sorry, God help me accept the things I can't change and the wisdom to know which, basically. That phrase generally I'm botching it a bit, but you know what I mean. It feels that's what this energy feels like you're turning away from the things you can't change. That's what the release is. Wow, you're just like, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm laughing because it does feel like acceptance, or you're just like, that's just the reality of life. Like, mm. This is interesting. Give me a second. Yeah, I see that. I also see judgment here. So you see this Eight of Cups where she's looking over her shoulder, and then have a look. If I moved it so you can see a bit more clearly, have a look at all the hands and the Ace of Cups here. This is group one. So this is like all the people that are pursuing pleasure, going after things to make them feel better. Everyone like this is almost like hedonism. Like I got to feel better, I got to feel better. And then there's you over here who's refusing to engage in that because you're looking at that as like low. You're looking at those people as like down bad or like just less disciplined than you, less holy than you, on the wrong path, lost in life, and you're like, yeah, I don't do that. You're not feeling any better with the Eight of Cups. You don't feel good. You're not having a great time, but you're like, I'm not going to be doing the nonsense that everybody else is doing in order to cope with this. So this is like, it feels like stuck in the mud here. And so the Knight of Swords is like, this is the energy of judgment. This is the judgment you are making of like, I'm not doing that. And that's what leads to the asceticism. But it is like, it feels like there is something you get, even if you see how joyful this Hierophant card is, there is a pleasure you derive from being better than people. I'm sorry to put it that way, but it's true. There's a pleasure you derive from being from being higher, or from being disciplined or controlled or living in a good way. And I say this, and I don't want you to take this as I don't want you to reject the message because it feels shadowy, right? Like it feels like it's from the shadow. I mean, it is a shadow energy, but I'm trying to see how can I put it? I'm trying to think of things that I don't do so I can use myself as an example so that you don't feel alienated in this conversation. What do I look at? I'll put it like this. I don't really have, you know how people talk about having addictive personalities? I don't. Like, I'm not a person. I tend towards abstinence more than anything. So okay, I'm not. I don't really like the concept of promiscuity in this context, but I'm not a person who would be highly sexually indulgent with indiscriminately having sex, right? And that is something that I derive pride and pleasure in, as like maybe treating my body as a temple, like kind of Hierophant energy. See what I mean? So that's true. That is true about me. I'm not just gonna have sex with anybody, etc., etc. But it's still a judgment. Like me saying that, even though I think this is perfectly fine and a value I stand by, it's still me looking at people who do and being like, I don't do that. You see what I mean? So I'm saying that to say, don't take this message as a condemnation of you, because I am saying this is the truth of the dryness that you're living in. Like it's just true. Just take it as facts. And you may, just because they're pointing it out doesn't even mean you're necessarily going to change it, but you do need to be aware of this is how it's functioning. So, yes, there is a judgment that you have of others, and there is a pleasure that you derive and a value that you derive from yourself for releasing yourself from worldly things almost. And you may have even picked some of that up from religious systems, but the judgment card here is like, I'm, this is so interesting because you feel like you're not nothing is the boss of you. You're not mastered by something. And I can see that here with the Page of Swords and the Devil card. You're not, you've learned certain life lessons you feel like with the Page of Swords. You're not being mastered by the devil energy. You don't have strings tied to you. Like it's not easy to you, so you think. It's not easy to manipulate you because you're not under the control or the sway of certain things. So you may be a person who says no, again, the Mars energy, you say no, Saturn, no to people. You have strong boundaries, you may feel like, like there is a certain this feels like some people who are have high values and hold yourself to a high moral standard. And this is part of the self-concept, of course, but we're also looking at the landscape of body as dry. So in all of this, negation, like I said, and there is a denial, there is a dryness that's coming from this. Now, in fairness to you, and it feels like I'm trying to pull this card, I think you're doing this because the water isn't available to you in healthy ways, you believe. So it could even be like you're single right now, or you're not engaging in relationships because you feel like you have not found a healthy partner. So then you just have nothing. Again, negation, dryness, absence, shadow, desert. Let's see. This is really interesting because it's mirroring what I was saying. Yeah, and on the bottom of the deck, look at that. It's mirroring what I was saying. So we have Breath of the Cosmos here, My Will to Thy Will, micromanaging the universe. And then we have Weight of the World's Boundaries, Let It Go, it's not yours to carry. What's really interesting is this is what you're not doing. Like you're like, it's not mine to carry. I'm not going to micromanage the universe. The things that I desire or the things that I would really like to have, I don't have them right now. Like, oh, it's not available to me, the healthy relationship, the job, the money, the home, the place, the whatever it is, whatever the desire is that you feel is like been blocked or inaccessible that's causing like this long-term anguish for you, you're like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm not God. I can't go and force it. I can't come and kill myself as the energy. So you're just like, it's not mine to control. This is outside of my control. Again, using spiritual technology to make peace with your circumstances. And then you have the I'm sorry card, the defenselessness. So this is resulting in, or not necessarily resulting, is rooted in, as you can see, the roots, powerlessness. And you do have spiritual theory or ideas and ways of intellectualizing and making sense of the experience of powerless, where it feels less painful to you. Because again, you're like, I'm just a human, it's above me. Like there are just things in life that's above me. You understand that from your spiritual perspective, where you feel ultimately powerless to make certain changes. So you're just in an energy of endurance, long-term endurance. That's the landscape of your body, long-term endurance, long-term just surviving, persevering, making it through. What I'm going to clear these cards away now because what I want to understand, I might leave this card. I might leave these three out just to remind me of the general energy. But what I want to understand is how this is making you susceptible to being manipulated. And this the energy of manipulation here, they're actually saying it in a more in a kind of literal interpretation. So we're talking about manipulating as in malleable, how you can manipulate something with your hands, changeable. I don't feel the manipulation so much as like a person, although people play a role in it. Let's see. In the Okay, so I'm leaving these here to remind me of what the issue is, and I'm feeling called to use the Hoodoo deck. Let's see. What is going on? What does it mean for you to be easily manipulated or malleable? You're thirsty, man. I can feel that. The issue is starvation. Ooh, I can see so much. I'm seeing like a lasso, like how someone might use, like how they grab cows or horses on a ranch, like capturing something. You are get captured. Bottom of the deck is the road rail bill, which is kind of like the equivalent of the chariot card. But yeah, I feel the energy of like you get so thirsty, so hungry, so parched, so desperate that you're easily captured. Let's see. Two of sticks. Yeah, look at that. Father of sticks. Oof. Three of baskets and the wheel of fortune. I'll come to this. These two cards here are this energy. Yeah, because what happens is this person promises you the world. You're standing here and you're trying to get here. You're like, I've been standing at this bank, at this shoreline for a long time, not being able to get to what I want. Even though we can see an expanse of water, this is actually a fire card, sticks of fire energy in this deck. I have been trying to expand. I've been trying to get unstuck. I've been trying to move forward. I don't know my way out. I've just been stuck here. And you see, like, how, for example, let's say this is a really deep river and you can't swim, and there's no bridge. You would stand here, and that's the energy that I'm talking about of saying, like, it's above me. You would stand here and you'll be like, there's nothing I can do. I can't get over there. But then someone comes along with resources, Father of Sticks. Look at that down here. Resources and fire energy, action and talk. And they're saying to you, I can do it. I can get you there. I know how to get you there. I've got it. Like, I know exactly what you need. And whether that is in a relationship context, whether they're offering you a job, whether there's a place to stay, money, whatever it is, they're like, I've got the thing that you've been wanting that's going to get you to the other side. And then you become so hopeful with the three of baskets and Aunt Caroline, which is like the Wheel of Fortune card there. And it's interesting because Wheel of Fortune came up as like the ending stuff of the group one. But you become so hopeful that you're finally going to be able to get to this. So see this card, like this landscape, this abundant landscape here with these gorgeous trees, and they're like gathering things in their baskets, which looks like it's the other side. See it like it's over here, and you become so like, oh my gosh, the wheel's finally going to change. My fortune's finally going to change. I'm going to get to the other side. I'm finally going to get here. And then it makes you so susceptible to be controlled by this person. I'm going to explain why. So this is a chariot card, the road, but moving on. You're like, oh great, someone's come to create the bridge for me, the train. They're going to get me where I need to go. Literally railroad build. They're going to build what I need to get where I need to go. And then what happens to it? Mm. Oh, this is painful. Oh, wow. Then what happens is, with the four coins, this person starts weighing things, you know? They start weighing. Maybe they over promise and over deliver. There's things that they said they were going to do for you. They start measuring things and then they don't do it. And then you got the eight of baskets here. This person is walking away. They're leaving the house. So they start not giving you what they said they were going to do for you. They create distance, neglect. You might start to feel like, oh, like I'm feeling separation. I'm feeling quietness. I'm feeling distance. And then the mother of sticks, again, fire energy. This is you feeling really activated, triggered, or alarmed. And this is you in an active role, because remember, they came to you as father of sticks. And then you start pursuing this person, trying to match their energy, basically combating them or engaging with them or putting your energy into this relationship, this person, this situation, this job in some way, because you were so like, but no, I remember the promise. I remember what I was told. I remember when I was standing over here and I was shown that I was going to be given a road, I was going to be given a route to get to where I wanted to get to. And if anything changes, if for any reason with the balancing of scales card here, if for any reason the scales are not balanced, and things can't go exactly as you want, and this person starts to leave or walk away or not give, it is so hard for you to do the same. You start pursuing, you get heavily attached, because it's not really the person who's offering it to you, it's the thing you want more than anything. You're like, I needed this thing. And why it becomes so intoxicating is because you were in that state of ascetic spiritual deprivation, denying yourself. You were like, I've been doing without this thing for so long, I've been wanting it and I've been surviving without it, and it's finally here and I must have it. Wow. So I see like a ghoul is what I see. It's like when it comes to the landscape of the body group one, I see like I'm playing a zombie game right now called Days Gone, and it feels like this energy here where you've been kind of just giving it to God and just surviving, even though you don't feel great. It's like you're living in the dust, or you're lying on the ground, or you're like almost hibernating is the right word, but you're hibernating like a zombie or like a ghost. And then something comes past that offers you something, and you suddenly come to life. And you're like, oh my gosh, I really want this thing. Like, yes, yes, yes. And then it doesn't work out, and you go right back into hibernation. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I feel equally dragged. I resonate with both groups in this pick a card reading. And recently, like I stopped dating again very recently, and my spirit team has said to me, I've got to stop doing that. And I can see now in like looking at this reading, like how it mirrors that pattern of being like a zombie, of like powering down, hibernating at night, not engaging, and then suddenly something comes up and I'm really into it. And then if that thing doesn't work in the way that I was expecting, I go right back to hibernating. And this is a really unhealthy dynamic. Yeah, look at that. What did I talk about? Zombie energy. And look at all of these skulls, like the bardo, which is like death eating energy. Yeah, starborn, egg shaman. So it's literally like going back into the darkness is what you do. Go back into the egg, like literally start over, like a zombie. Go back into death energy, into like hibernation, and then suddenly, and it really should go like this, because it's like into hibernation, into the darkness, into the mystical energy where you're trusting or manifesting or spiritualizing your life and hoping for one of these resources here to come forward, and then suddenly it doesn't, and you rebirth yourself, and you have a new beginning in the starborn, and it's a vicious cycle. And at the bottom of the deck is the desert card, which is how you feel: desperate. Desperate and dry. You're desperate for the ocean, for water to come into your life, for pleasure. So it was really interesting because group one was much more pleasure seeking, and you are a bit more like a Venus flytrap. Shout out Temple of Venus, which this is. But you know the plants that when like a fly goes past it grips. It's like you won't pursue anything. You're not pursuing pleasure. But if pleasure comes walking by you, you grip onto it, boy. Okay. I'm feeling called to pull from this deck. I can't even remember what this deck is called. Energy Muse, maybe? No, that's not this deck. I don't know what it's called. Sorry, guys. We have Water Your Garden, Nourishment, Body Care, Tender, and Rest. I need to remove these now. Okay. Star Family, your team calling support. Oh, I love that. Wayland Walker, Elders. Share your frequency, dive in deep. This is beautiful, to be honest. So group one. Sorry, group two. Since this is all about landscape and the body, the message for you is firstly, you really can't be going into deep hibernation like a bear and not having any pleasure, any resources, giving up on your pleasures, not pursuing anything for long periods of time. Oh, I'm really feeling this message. And then, you know, jumping up like a zombie trying to have everything. You need consistent, long-term nurturance and care that you are giving yourself. You have to unlearn the patterns of powering down and going into low power mode. I need to pull some cards about this particular message. You've got to stop doing that. You're starving yourself of energy. Yeah, that's what it looks like. They're showing, I don't know why again, but they are showing the dynamic. Maybe some of you didn't fully see or understand it, so the cards are coming with the same energy. Okay, so this is the starvation. This is, I'm not doing what everybody out there in this city is doing. I'm doing something different. This is Seven of Wands, very Mars energy again. I'm separate. I'm protecting my energy. I'm not getting engaged in certain things. Separation, negation, denial. I'll turn this upright because then something comes, an offer of the things that you've been wanting, like, oh, we can do this together, and you are all for it. So sometimes the extent of naivety with this Six of Wands, you're just like, yes, finally. And that celebration, that energy is really dangerous for you. So we're thinking about pleasure seeking and the ecosystem of the body and the land. 10 of Wands, yeah. 10 of Swords, how unsurprising. 5 of Wands. This is what you can't, this is what we have to deal with. Long-term feeling, long-term burdened, endurance, just going on and on and on, day after day, just trying to make it. Deeply lacking the things that you need, feeling desert energy, feeling just malnourished, feeling like life feels a little bit empty. 5 of Wands, feeling like everything is too difficult. There's too many blocks, there's too many obstacles, you can't even get towards the thing that you need. This is the issue. This is what your body, the landscape, the ecosystem of your body is feeling like. This is what you're dealing with. This is how your long-term wounds. And it will be different. The specifics of this will be different for each of you. This is a collective reading. But at the archetypal level, at the level of symbols, this is what all of you are feeling to some extent. Burdened, undernourished, and blocked. Can't overcome, can't get over the mountain. So this is what I talk about. Yeah, absolutely. So this is group one. I will be doing some personal readings. Priority will be Ancestors group chat. Second priority will be those of you in Horizon Temple via Patreon. And then third priority, or not really a priority after that, will be the public. But I'll be doing a few readings and not many. I think maybe for this whole group, this whole pick a card, and maybe can do a maximum of 10 personal readings. But I'll be supporting you with personal readings to help you get to the details of like what to do with this message, how to take action. So we have the Three of Swords, and you have the Three of Cups, and we have the Knight of Swords down here. And this is about addressing the energy of long-term endurance, because a lot of you have lost your sense of vision or possibility. You don't know what's possible for you. And yeah, I feel like I'm hearing the phrase written in the stars. You need a little bit of help with like destiny, is what I feel like. When I went through the initiation I went through when I was in I'll come back to the two other cards. When I was in South Africa, one of the things that was said to me and confirmed to me is that I'm a body worker. And then more was said to me about what that would look like. And that was actually such a helpful thing. The vision, the stars being in line, seeing the blueprint, seeing the destiny, seeing what was written in the stars for me. Because it meant that as I was going along my path, going along my road, things that were leading me and prompts that I had and things that were about the body, I understood were exactly the way I needed to be. I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. I'm following my path, I'm following my destiny. This is an alignment for me. And I think lots of you are just lacking prophecy. That's what it feels like. Like you're lacking destiny. You don't know where you're going. You haven't been given a bigger picture. And so much has felt so difficult for you that either you can't see a bigger picture for yourself, or you're holding very small, immediate dreams for yourself, or you just have dreams that are out of alignment. There's just things that are very unlikely to ever happen. And you actually need prophecy. I can see you need prophecy over your life. You need to be told what is on the cards for you, like literally very much like a fortune teller energy. That is the healing for you. And there is that is part of the pleasure seeking for your type of nature, because I don't see you as a person who's going to be indulging, but there is a pleasure therefore in applying the discipline towards the things that are really on your path, like that are going to come true. The dreams are going to come true in the same way that sometimes people enjoy the pain of the gym because they know that the goals and the gains they're going to get from it. I think it's the same for you, Saturn, Mars. Like I said, that discipline and effort. You will enjoy effort. You will take pleasure from the efforts and the sacrifices you're making in your life right now if you know they're towards the right path and towards your dream. So for those of you I work with personally, that's one of the things that I'll be offering to you. And then we have, it feels like Waylon Alton next. Share your song and frequency diving deep. You need to be seen. You need to let people see. You got to stop hibernating. For you to have the nourishment and the connection and the love and the relationships that you want in your life, you need to be seen. You need to share who you are. Whales and orcas are huge. They're huge, beautiful, playful animals. You really need to be witnessed. And this is like sharing again. You have to share who you are. If you didn't if you didn't watch last week's pick a card, and I encourage you to watch that one, because there are messages related to this, but that's one of the, I don't even need to pull more about this. In terms of pleasure, or actually I do, because I felt immediately, I felt a little bit of a wound in relation to pleasure and sharing who you are. You have deep-rooted feelings that it's pointless, because you've come out at times and nothing has come of it. You're like, it's pointless to share who I am. There's no pleasure in it. I share myself, I come out of my hole, come out of my zombie state, my darkness, and I let the world see me. I invite people, but with the Queen of Pentacles, I invite people into my life. and just nothing comes of it, the moon card. I'm just still left in the same darkness I thought I was coming out of. So this is a wound, right? It's deep futility, and there may be messages for you about what's going on in terms of your attempt to share yourself with the world. Again, more solar plexus energy. So again, there may be messages in the when we do personal readings about what's going on with you sharing yourself, what it means for you to be seen and how to show up. Oh, this one is heavy, man. Not heavy, like I shouldn't say that. It's resonant or poignant, is what I can mean, not heavy. It doesn't feel heavy, it just feels very poignant, meaningful. Star family is the last one, calling support. So again, you have been in the energy of the Five of Wands card here. This is answering that. So the Ten of Swords was the one about showing yourself. 10 of Wands was a message I said right before that one. And then this one now is Five of Wands issue. Just feeling like the insurmountable blocks and mountains in your life. So again, you've just been like, it's above me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't do anything. You've given it to God, so to speak. And they're like, no, like, call in support. You're part of a team of souls. Spirit's like, why are you not actually getting active? Like, why are you just like, oh, it's above me, nothing can be done? Yeah, you're like, oh, well, King of Cups is you just being like, nothing to be done about it. But the Six of Cups and the Four of Pentacles, interesting. There's further the energy of request. I think many of you have given up. You've just stopped asking. You're just like, it is what it is. This is where I live. This is the amount of water that's available to me right down here at the bottom of my feet. It's never going to be more. I just have to cope with this. And then we have the Justice card at the bottom of the deck. Shout out Venus. And they're saying you've got to ask for more. You've got to want more and you've got to ask for more. Call in support. Ask for more. Ask for help. Ask. Don't give up. Just don't be like, this is what it is and there's nothing more. And I'm feeling one more pull. Ace of Knives. Yeah, with the Ace of Coins. But it does feel like that's the question. Like, you've got to ask for what you want. And I know that for many of you, the Par card here, which is the Moon. Yeah, Four of Baskets, the dissatisfaction. Yeah. And look at the Garden. A lot of you are like, so I've asked for what I want and I didn't get it. So why are you telling me that? Like, what is the point of asking? I love this. Well, this is the provision, 10 of baskets and the daughter of coins. This is the spirit family, the soul family, like they said. And I heard this literally as a process with the Six of Knives, the movement card. Someone's in the boat. They're like, yes, you asked. And it's not that your requests are being denied. It's that there is a process to providing it. And what that process is and what those steps look like and how to go on that journey is what you need to understand and know. And sometimes you're like, well, I asked and nothing happened, or I asked and I didn't get it, or I asked and it didn't work out. And they're like, okay, but are you further? Do you know what I mean? Did you ask and actually you're halfway? Let me find the card. Yeah. Did you ask from here? And now you're like here in the river and you're like, I didn't get anything. And Spirit's like, but you're on the way. Like, we're in the water. Like, we're getting there. And you're like, nothing happened. Do you know what I mean? Forget it. I'm just giving up. And you're just going to sit in the boat right there and just be like, I tried. It didn't work out. Dust yourself off and try again, like earlier said. Or at least get the information, seek the guidance that you need to understand what allows this boat to keep moving forward for you so you can arrive. Okay, my beauties, that is it. That's where I'm leaving it today. If you would like a personal reading with me, it's NicoleBlack.com/shop. I also have free guides, workshops, energy healing, lots of good stuff. And if you'd like to come to Horizon Temple, where we do more spiritual teaching and I take your personal questions around the topic of the spiritual teaching, it's a really beautiful space. You're welcome to join at patreon.com/Leonie Nicole Black. Okay, my beauties, take care.